Mike, we can see behind you, you're actually at the crash site. For anyone that's seen images of this earlier today or the videos, it's pretty horrific.
Julia, I think that could be the understatement of our New Year's Eve morning. It is stunning to be this close. We're only a few footsteps away, so we're going to zoom in before we toss to our piece on all that has unfolded. So you see the vertical stabilizer, the tail, it's jutting out towards us, and the fins of the tail are standing about 15 meters tall, this dark black silhouette hulking above the wreckage site. So Julia, as investigators from the United States, from the NTSB, are due to arrive here and begin their work today, they're going to be looking to see whether this was a chain reaction. But first and foremost, we want to show you the human faces of this tragedy who are still camped out at the airport.
It is the unmistakable outcry of grief heard throughout South Korea's Muan International Airport. Families unable to absorb the anguish of the Jeju air catastrophe. Hundreds of relatives huddling in the departure hall, waiting for news of whether their loved one's remains are found. A friend of a couple killed in the crash said he came here to confirm for himself his friends of 30 years are simply gone. I have nothing to say, but it's tragic, he told us. I watched the news all day, and for now, they say bird strike could be the cause. I'm so shocked and hurt, I cannot even put it into words. Now, so many people have chosen to stay. They're not going anywhere, and that's seen, evidenced by all of these tents that go from here pretty much to the end of the terminal. They go back 3 tents to the edge of the check-in counters. You see food deliveries throughout the day. Let's keep going this way. And the echoes of grief. The scenes inside are just a short drive from the cataclysmic crash site, the tail of the doomed airliner still jutting above the field, a mountain in the middle of the debris. More than 1,000 people now mobilized to sift through pieces of the plane.
The crash scene is absolutely harrowing. Just a few steps away, you can see where the doomed Jeju Air jetliner careened through the embankment and burst into flames. And more than a day later, you can still see forensics teams in their white suits combing through the debris along with members of the police force as well as members of the South Korean military. Now, to my right, you can see soldiers looking through the fields and around them to give you an idea of the force of this crash. A full football field away from where we're standing, you can see mangled, twisted chairs thrown from the jetliner.
A representative of the victims' families urging an even larger response.
What I want to request from the government is to increase the manpower so that the recovery can be carried out more swiftly. I hope my siblings, my family, can be recovered and returned to us, even if only 80% intact.
For now, Muan remains the epicenter of a nation in mourning, the weight of unspoken farewells and quiet desperation made unbearable by an absence of answers.
So, Julia, as we walk over here, we're going to show you a better sense of the debris field and talk about why this investigation matters to a wider global audience. Just look over here. You can see all the yellow and some red flags that are marking pieces of debris. So investigators, Julia, are trying to figure out whether or not this was a catastrophe unique to this specific aircraft and perhaps specific circumstances of the day, or the second option, was this some sort of chain reaction, perhaps caused by a bird strike that needs to be addressed, that could, I stress could, affect the wider fleet of 737-800s. That is setting the table of what investigators are going to begin to look at today when they join forces from the United States and South Korea. Again, on New Year's Eve, the sun coming up, a day that normally would be filled with celebration. I can't describe enough, Julia, how such a pall has fallen over South Korea, a country that has been through so much this month, Julia.
Yeah, just a day filled with heartbreak, to your point, Mike. I mean, we were just watching the comments in your report of that representative for the family members saying, and you could see the grief on his face, that they simply wanted a more dramatic and higher scaled response. I mean, for them, waiting for the results of this investigation is going to be unbearable. But do you get a sense that there's going to be, even just behind you, and I know it's early morning, it's only just past 8 a.m. there, but that there will be a greater response in terms of people even pouring over this crash site to try and understand what happened?
It seems as though there are a whole multitude of resources, but our main question is, Julia, this airport is scheduled to at least remain closed until Wednesday. We're wondering if there's going to be more manpower devoted to moving this crane, having the crane move pieces of the wreckage site. But it remains to be, I mean, there are members of the military who are here in large numbers. So we are going to be asking that question to, politicians throughout the country, throughout South Jeolla province here, whether or not they can contribute more, because frankly, to your point, the people who are camped out in the airport 3 kilometers away, there are still human remains that are scattered within the field, and they want them found ASAP because this tragedy is just too much to bear.
Yeah, and we could hear their cries from those tents, Mike. It's good to have you there, telling the story and reporting. Thanks very much for that report.